Greetings, all you Jackson Dennets out there. You know what time it is. It's time for your daily dose of donkey with Ginger Sports Talk. Steelers game happened today. We'll get into that. It'll just be me, so you have to deal with my inner monologue for a little while. Probably be a quick one today, so don't judge too hard. But I'll bring you what I saw out there. First, let's start off. Detroit fans, I'm absolutely sorry for you if you bought season tickets to watch that team because boy, that is a bad football team. I'll tell you what, that is just not a very good football team at all. Their offense, let's hope Jared Goff can do something with it because there was some open receivers today for Croyle to throw the football to, and he just whiffed on them. I mean, we get to the fourth quarter, and that's when offense finally shows up because David Blau's outrunning all the backups on the Steelers defense. And good news, Steelers fans. We got to see starters. We come away from the game almost injury-free. And we got to see Ben Roethlisberger for 3 drives, 2 which were to touchdowns to Pat Freiermuth, who caught 2 balls, both touchdowns. And that's nice to see. His blocking could use a little bit of fixing on the running game, but I'm not going to nitpick. If he wants to just go out there, be a number 2 tight end and catch touchdowns, that is great. Having Ben have comfort in someone in the red zone was great to see. Watching drives end in touchdowns was good to see. I thought all in all, Ben looked pretty good for not playing in a game in a while. I would have preferred the pass to Deontay Johnson, been out a little farther so he could have scored a touchdown, but we scored on the drive, so who's really complaining? That's the only thing you can knock on Ben. I mean, he even looked agile in the pocket because he hasn't been worn down yet. He looked like early season Ben from last year where maybe the arm strength isn't quite there, but everything else looks really good. Now the question becomes, can that offensive line that we watched today, and if you watched, inconsistent was what you'd say. There would be plays where they held up the pocket perfectly. There'd be plays where I have no idea what they were doing in the pocket. Like, they couldn't block anyone. The running game didn't look good, which means it looks like it might be stress on Ben again. Ben, mostly accurate, a little bit struggle on one of the short passes and a little underthrown on the Deontay ball. That could have been a touchdown, but still 47 yards is huge. Everything you wanted to see out of Ben. Big question is, can that offensive line keep Ben healthy through the end of the year? Because if Ben isn't healthy, we all know what happens. And when that play goes down, when you get older and that play goes down, it's not a good thing. So what we need to do is have him stay healthy so that play can stay at that upper level for the whole year. Because if that happens, this could be good things for this team. I mean, that wide receiver core looks pretty good. Najee he looked explosive in the passing game, looked okay in the running game finishing. The bigger problem for me is in the running game, he only gets the yardage that's there. And with this offensive line, that could be -2 yards, 5 yards, who knows? Because these guys are super inconsistent and are not showing anything yet. I really hope next week that offensive line gets the whole first half to play together. I know you don't really play starters very much in the 4th preseason game, if at all. But the fact of the matter is these guys need to play together. They need to start gelling together. We need to see if these guys can protect Ben and open up holes for Najee. Because the skill position players, they look the part. The question is, can the line keep Ben upright long enough and create enough holes for Najee that the skill position players' skills get to be showcased? That's where the question is. I guess you could also say the question is, can Ben hold up through a whole season? Because that's a fair question. He is, 39 now? 38, 39, 40, somewhere in that range now. And we've seen quarterbacks before that, yeah, it looked okay at the start of the year, but by the end of the year, they were the problem for their team. I mean, look at New Orleans, the last year of Breeze. Are we going to have one of those last years where at the end of the year, Ben's just worn down? Or can we keep Ben upright and keep him healthy? Because if he plays the way he did, albeit against a bad Detroit team that was resting a couple big starters, namely Jared Goff on the offensive side, but they were also starting, from my understanding, a middle linebacker who was the guy who got burned on Najee's play that a lot of people think should be cut or is going to be cut from the Detroit fans I've heard from. But who knows? Maybe they were out there with their full first team unit, and in week 10 we get to see the Steelers put up 60 points, because if that team shows up to play Pittsburgh week 10, It's not going to be fun if you're a Detroit fan to watch that. So, first team offense covered. Nothing but really good things to say about the skill position players. Line, you guys still need some work. But we can go ahead and start talking now about the defense. And all I have to say is thank goodness it wasn't a professional level quarterback out there starting the game for Detroit, because there was receivers running open. Play looked fine. I mean, there's a couple splash plays done on defense. I'd still like Highsmith to be able to get home a little more than he has in the preseason. I thought you saw a good play from Ingram, but again, Ingram's a guy who, one, you need him to stay healthy. Two, he's another guy who wears down through the course of the year. So, of course, early in the year, he always looks good. The question is, can he stay healthy? So, a couple splash plays from Ingram. I would have liked seeing getting home to the quarterback a little more. Joe Sherbert got burned on a third down for a first down by a tight end. Again, we had another linebacker, but the problem still seems to be we can't cover tight ends. Joe Hayden also got burned on a big play that the quarterback luckily missed an open receiver. There was just, you could see the difference between a Pittsburgh team that's been there, done that, and has pieces in place, and a Detroit team that for some reason decided to hire a Matt Patricia who had no reason being a head coach, absolutely ruined the franchise, and now you're looking at a team that went from, I believe they had 10 wins and then 8 wins or something along those, the 2 years before Patricia gets there, to a 3-4 win team with Patricia, because he just ran out all the talent on the roster. And if you looked, that was a team that was just overmatched. And the Steelers, to our credit, did something we have struggled with, and albeit it was preseason, but the first team offense did something we struggle with against bad teams. And that's put up points and put them away early. And the defense did exactly what you should do against bad teams. While the play wasn't perfect, while there were some breakdowns, didn't allow a big play touchdown, didn't allow them to burn you, and you put up 0 points. That's huge, to put up 0 points, and that's what they did. I'd love to see the coverage get fixed a little bit. I'm still scared about everyone starting in that secondary at cornerback, to be quite honest with you. I'm not sure any of the corners did anything to impress me today, but hey, they go out there week 1. Let's see what they can do. Right now, get the rust out of the way, get going, get our defense all here, get our absolute game changer and Watt back, and let's see what we can do. Because if we can get Watt back, put Ingram into a rotational piece, things will look good. Now, let's get on to the Steelers' backups. I thought the backup offensive line played okay. Again, too many missed assignments, too much inconsistency, which has been the thing across all of it. It's like good play, bad play, bad play, good play, bad play. They need to find consistency on that offensive line, whether it's the starters or the backups. It doesn't really matter. Then let's get into the running backs. I actually like what I'm seeing out of Kalen Ballage. I think that could be trouble for someone on that roster, because it looks like Ballage, McFarland, and obviously those guys are the ones, and if you put them there, then you're obviously talking, what happens with Benny Snell? What happens with Jalen Samuels? Are those guys going to get a roster spot? Is Trey Edmonds going to get a roster spot instead, and we take a guy who can be a fullback and a running back? What happens with the roster as it gets transformed and moved forward? And you can see that this team is building there, but the running back question is, who is going to be number 3 and 4? I hope Ballage makes it, and honestly, I hope Trey Edmonds makes it. If that means the end of Benny Snell, so be it. I think Jalen Samuels is already out the door. He's auditioning for his next team, but who knows? If he can put up a great game in week 4, maybe we keep him. You get to the tight ends. Honestly, I was a little worried about Freiermuth because I haven't seen him catch the ball, but looking like a red zone target is huge and very, very productive for Ben to have a red zone target again. And then you go, is it going to be Raider? Is it going to be Gentry? I don't really care. Neither of them look like they're really anything special, and hopefully neither one of them has to see the field all year. Get to the wide receivers. Obviously, we're set. Ray looked explosive, so I think Sexton's going to have an even harder time taking the job from him, and Cody White would have a really hard taking the job because Ray's the return man, and that just makes it hard to take him out and replace him with a guy like Cody White who might see 3-4 snaps in a game if he's super lucky. got to do something about it, though. And then we could get to the backup quarterbacks. Mason Rudolph did Mason Rudolph things, which is move the ball okay, but end up kicking field goals. He needs to find a way to put that ball in the end zone, and that's what's lacking with him right now as far as I've seen. Dwayne Haskins showed you why he was released by another team. He didn't play very good today. Looked a little iffy, a little spotty. He doesn't throw the ball down the field very well. He is going to be the number 3, though. I don't think Josh Dobbs has any chance of unseating him because you saw the potential before. Let Haskins sit as the 3. And then if something happened over Ben, you could maybe put Haskins in over Rudolph because, I don't know, Rudolph not finishing drives has me nervous. I'd like to see him finish a drive. Hopefully he goes out next week and scores some touchdowns, but to this point hasn't happened. If you want to get to the backup defense, same thing that always happens.
Hello.
Missed tackles. Hello. Missed tackles, and then just bad coverage. That's why they were able to come back and put up 20 points in the fourth quarter, along with an onside kick, which, by the way, if you watch, was a pretty onside kick, but should have been caught by whoever the heck 17 is. He's a cornerback. I can't think of his name right now. Should have been caught by him, but dropped. Detroit gets it, goes. They score some touchdowns. They move the ball. Blau outruns defenses. And the biggest problem I saw in today's game was really nothing that the Steelers did was terrible, but the thing was, the things they struggled with are the things they struggled with for 10 years and are the things that have killed them in the playoffs because good teams take advantage of it. That's they can't cover tight ends and running backs. Athletic quarterbacks absolutely can torch them. And just bad tackling. All those things showed up again today in the preseason. I know it's the preseason. I know you shouldn't get worked up about it, but the thing is, we haven't been getting worked up about it for 10 years. It's like, oh, we'll fix it during the season. And sure, it looks okay in the first 10 to 12 weeks, and then we get to primetime football, big-time football, when these teams are looking to win. And the Steelers just lose those games. It's been a decade of just losing those games, of not performing in the primetime. So I don't think the preseason was going to do anything to answer the questions. I think this is still a team that's built to be right around the 500 mark and make a good run if good things happen. And I say that mainly because they have such a tough schedule this year, and they got the shaft of it in that department. And everyone could be like, well, the schedule's different every year. Yeah, but these are teams that are consistently good are the teams that the Steelers have to play. So you're talking bad schedule, built that way. Can they close out in primetime football, in clutch football, in December football? That's what we have to see. I mean, they did what they should against a team like Detroit. Hopefully we get to play a team like Detroit in the playoffs if we make it. That would be fun. But this team put forward their best foot, as I struggled there, and didn't really answer the questions, though. Because Detroit is a bad team. We always do good early in the year against bad teams, typically. Actually, we don't really do good against bad teams, but young quarterbacks we do good against, and that's what Detroit would be here. So they did what they need to do. They checked all the boxes. The team's looking good going into the season because you're not going to see them probably play next week. We need to come out firing in Buffalo. That's what it comes down to. Whoever makes this team needs to make it. Whoever starts on that offensive line needs to get cohesive together. Ben needs to stay healthy. Najee needs to stay healthy. And then move forward, get that defense. Someone at a linebacker position needs to learn how to cover. The corners need to step up their play because they're all playing average to below average right now, and that won't do it. But today's game, you have to look at it as a positive because even though the backup struggled for like the first time I think we allowed a second half point in a preseason game, and we allowed 20 of them. But the thing was, the first half, 2 out of 3 drives for Ben were touchdowns. That's what mattered. That's what this game was about. It was about seeing those things, and they were really, really good vibes going into the season. Still a little nervous, still a little bit cautious, but leaning a little more optimistic than I've been before because out there seeing Ben do those things, hey, if we can keep him healthy, maybe we can do it a whole year this time. But that brings me to the shout-out time. And the shout-out has to be to Ben for looking vintage today. I have to give it to him. Little twinkle toes in the pocket on, I think it was the third snap of the game. That's really good to see. Hopefully he can stay twinkle toes and not take a big hit because we can't afford to get him hurt if he's playing at the level he did today. That level, Ben, can lead to good things if that defense can step up and cover linebackers. So shout out to Ben for being twinkle toes, bringing it back, and doing good stuff. Now that shoutouts are done, you know what that means. It's time for me to let you know where you can reach me. You can go ahead, Xbox, Viking Donkey, Twitch, Twitter, Viking_Donkey, the YouTube, your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger. Hit me up with a comment, leave a notice, leave whatever you want on any of them. I'll get back to you. If you want to join in the conversation, feel free. You want me to talk something other than Steelers, let me know. And I appreciate you all for spending your time here at your daily dose of Donkey with Ginger. And you know what time it is, Steeler Nation. Wave 'em if you got 'em, like the Meat Week flag. Wave 'em if you got 'em.